The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives. I'm Debbie, your certified holistic health coach. I revitalize people's lives by helping them identify the root causes of their health and mindset issues, and I give them a custom natural holistic strategy to address them in the areas of mind, body, and soul. As a health coach, I'm not allowed to say that I heal, treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any diseases. I can certainly make your body more efficient by reducing symptoms. You'll feel better, be more productive, and enjoy life more. Not many people have released 70 pounds, had a health and mindset transformation that kept fit and trim for over a decade. I have, and I have staying power. And I even became a half marathon runner at the age of 51 when I never ran from childhood to adulthood due to foot pain. And I have done 8 half marathons so far. Mindset is the key to lasting change. As a certified holistic health coach, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. I guide them to clean, toxic-free foods and high-quality essential nutrients. My coaching is for optimizing health, releasing weight efficiently when needed, and enhancing your mindset. With my clients, I help them recognize that their thoughts, feelings, and emotions drive their actions and results, sometimes good, sometimes bad. That's why it's crucial to have a positive mindset in life. It's also imperative to manage your emotions and release those low vibrational emotions such as fear, frustration, and doubt. That all they're going to do is slow you down and get you stuck physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, like a hot air balloon that has balances. I help my clients release those emotional balances and baggage and to uplift to a better, happier, healthier life. And in turn, they are releasing their stress, they're getting healthier, and they're reshaping their core beliefs. You will see and feel the differences with my coaching programs. Ask me about them. Set up a complimentary consultation at Debi Changes Lives. That's DebiChangesLives, as in Victory, ES.com. /Linktree, LINKTRE. And I'll guide you to that better, happier, healthier life with custom natural solutions unique to you in the areas of mind, body, and soul. I just want to remind you that I have that collaboration with Alan Stevens, and it's on October 22nd at 7 p.m. It's an online webinar, and it's called Your Face Reveals, Your Mind Transforms, and it's on 2 topics. Mine is Master Your Mind and Transforming Your Life. I'm going to be talking about how to release stress and emotions because it tanks your health and, take back your life. And also, Alan's going to be talking about unlocking the secret language of the face. And believe it or not, there's hidden traits in facial features that he's going to show you that's going to tell you the truth. There is a early bird discount for $10 off. So ask me for the coupon. You go to this site, bit.ly, your face reveals, your mind transforms. And sign up. Now, as parents, we really, you can take the graph down. As parents, we really want to be protective of our children. And, I really want to make sure people are not stressed and have traumatic events. And I was really shocked when I heard some information from my guest today. Rima Nashashibi is the founder and also the president of Global Hope 365, a nonprofit that works at ending child marriage and human trafficking. Now, it's what it does is it brings education, helps with legislation, and it brings community outreach. Now, Rima is actually a recognized international speaker and change maker, recently honored with the Los Angeles Times B2B for leadership by being picked among 12 of the most inspirational women in the nonprofit community category. She's also been recognized by the Orange County Register, listing her as one of 125 people that are influential in Orange County for her community impact. In addition, she has certificates from House and Senate for federal and state in California and many other states, counties, and various cities. Today, we're going to be talking about child marriage and human trafficking hidden in plain sight in the U.S. So let's welcome Rima Nashashibi, the founder and president of Global 365. Rima, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Debi.
Oh, you're welcome. So one thing that was a shocker to me was there's still child marriage in the United States. Could you go on, brief us on that?
Absolutely. Global Home 365, our launch event was January 8, 2019. And I added child marriage to our mission because all these years I thought child marriage was not legal in the US until I get an email and it talks about an op-ed piece from Nicholas Kristof of the New York Times I still remember the title, Debbie. It says, 11 pregnant and forced to marry her rapist. And that's when we found out that child marriage was still legal in 48 states. And it's the case of Sherry Johnson, where she was, let's do a disclaimer first. So before I do any presentation, I do a disclaimer. That is, if we might get into heavy topics in this discussion, and if at any time you feel uncomfortable or anything, please feel free to either tune us down, take a break, come back. So just to
get emotional, just to let you know, but continue. Yeah.
It's a very emotional, and you said heavy topic. So she was repeatedly raped by a deacon and a parishioner. At 10, 11, she got pregnant. And then when child welfare was going to conduct an investigation, the parents and the church got together and they married her off to the 20-year-old rapist. So I'm giving you a short version. That was in Nicholas Kristof's story. And basically, it indicated that she had to wait until 18 when she found a friendly attorney and got her a divorce. By then, guess how many kids did she have? She got married at 11. And how many kids do you think she had?
No idea, but I hope not.
Seven.
Oh, no.
So you can imagine that there was no time for schooling. There's no time for vocational training. There are times where there was no food on the table. And that person was in and out of her life. And so she had to do it alone with some help. And the reason we said she had to wait until 18 to get a divorce is because you cannot sign a contract until you're 18. Because remember, the parents signed off on her for her on her behalf when she was 11, but she couldn't sign a contract on her own until 18. But here in the U.S. right now, child marriage is still legal in 34 states. And in 4 states, including California, the state we're both in, there's 0 minimum age. So in California, the most progressive state, there is 0 minimum age. All what you need is parental consent / coercion and judicial approval. And most of the times, that marriage, the children are coerced into it to cover the sex crime of rape, statutory rape. Because once you marry the victim, then that perpetrator does not go to jail. So it's a get out of jail free card for the perpetrator. And most of the survivors we worked with or we talked to, that's the situation, whether it's a 40-year-old neighbor and a 14-year-old child, a female that was forced by the parents to marry him in another state because they thought you cannot get married in California. Or you have the 16 who were forced to marry a 26-year-old divorced man because she was living in a cult with her dad and stepmom. or I'm sorry, with her mother and stepdad, or unfortunately the 13-year-old who got pregnant at 13 and was forced to marry her rapist who was 38. So that's what we're trying to change, because I think it's about time that the U.S. Have laws on the books, and it's better if they're federal, to say no child marriage under 18, no exceptions, because the exceptions are the parents. And so we want no exception, because remember, you cannot sign a contract. There's a reason until you're 18, because research indicates you're not fully developed. And in order for you to have the right reasoning to sign a contract, you need to be 18. You cannot vote until you're 18, right? You cannot drink alcohol until you're 21. In California, you can't go into a tanning booth until you're 18, but you can get married at 11. I mean, this is a disgrace. It's patriarchal law, and let's call a spade a spade. It's pedophilia. I mean, there has been 300,000 minors that were married in the U.S. between 2000 and 2018. That's according to the latest research by McGill University. And in California, we had 23,588. And there had been 3 legislative attempts to end it in California, but they all failed. And so, but we've testified in other states. For example, we were able to raise the minimum age in Alaska from 14 to 16. And we've testified in other states, in Rhode Island, where they passed legislation, in New York, where they passed legislations. Unfortunately, we testified in other states, and those legislations failed. But the US have signed off on SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. And 5.3, Article 5.3 says no child marriage under 18, no exceptions. So basically, we as the US need to end it by 2030, and we still have 34 states to go. So this is the situation as far as child marriage. And the stories we've heard from survivors is that, because of the age differential, as I mentioned, those 300,000 was mostly young girls married to adult men. So there's a higher propensity of domestic abuse. There's a higher propensity of maternal and infant death, because the body is not fully developed. And so, and they're basically staying away from school. So there's no counselors that can realize if there's any bruises or anything. And sometimes when they try to go to a domestic shelter, from what we heard from them, is that they're turned away because they're under 18 because of liability. And so they can't go to a runaway shelter because they're married and they have kids. And they can't go back home because it's the parents who signed off on them and put them in that situation. So sometimes they ended up on the streets, which we don't want that to happen. So we need to take care of our girls and women here in the US, better care. And we need to end child marriage under 18, no exception, in every state and on a federal level. But to look at the numbers globally, there's 850 million women and girls that are alive today that were married under the age of 18. 850 million globally. 12 million on an annual basis. 12 million girls get married under the age of 18 globally on an annual basis. And so not only do we need to end it on a state level, but also a federal level, but also we need to take a leadership role and help other countries end it. Once we end it here, help other countries end it too, because we need to protect women and girls.
Yeah, our lives are just as valuable as men. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We need to protect our girls and
right.
guys too, because when it comes to human trafficking, we're talking about child marriage at the moment, but there's victims of human trafficking, and I don't really believe it's only immigrants. It's a large range of people. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong, because actually you're one of the few. where you're not wrong, because there's a myth out there that most of the victims of human trafficking are immigrants. And that is not the case. It's 85 to 90% women or girls who are victims of human trafficking are US citizens. So 85 to 90%. We had our inaugural event at the UCI School of Law, and we had law enforcement, we had elected officials, we had survivors, we had other nonprofits who's in the same arena. And one of the speakers that we had was the chief of police from San Diego. And he did mention that most of the victims, 85 to 90%, are US citizens, and they're trafficked in the area they live in, and they keep moving them in order to prevent the perpetrators from being arrested. So they keep moving them to disorient them and also not to be arrested, the perpetrators. And so parents need to be vigilant out there right now, because most of the grooming is happening online.
Yeah.
So the recruiting and the grooming, and they take their time, the perpetrators, in grooming our young ones, and until they trust them, and then they ask for a personal meeting, and they get raped, and then they're put into sex trafficking. And so that's why Global Hope 365, we're in the prevention arena. So what we do is we go into schools, colleges, universities. We educate them on the fact, we raise awareness about human trafficking and child marriage, and we go through all the red flags that say, here's the red flags, please don't become a victim. Or here's the red flags. We do also presentations for teachers, guardians, and parents, and say, here's education about what's going on, child marriage, human trafficking, the recruitment, the exploitation, the grooming, and here's the red flags, this child may be trafficked. So we do two kinds of presentations. We go to schools because perpetrators, we found out, basically send peer recruiters into our middle schools and high schools.
Oh, wow. That's disgusting.
Yes, and because they tell them, because they want to get out of that. So the perpetrator says, the traffickers, they say, if you want to get out of that, you need to bring me two more of your friends. And so they bring them two more, but they never let them go. I sit on a weekly call that's hosted by NICOSI, the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. And we're with staffers from the Hill, both on the House and the Senate side. And sometimes we have speakers. And one time, and I'll never forget that, we had a speaker, a mother, whose first knowledge that her 13-year-old was trafficked on Twitter was when her niece said, my cousin wants to commit suicide. So what happened in that case, the way she explained it to us, is that, he's on Twitter, and this young girl approached him, because you see that the photo of a cute young girl, and she started chatting him up, and then he trusted her, and she asked him to send nude pictures of himself, and he sent nude pictures of himself, because by then, allegedly they trusted each other. She's a cute young girl. And then she asked him to meet her. And when he went there, it was a 50-year-old man, and he got raped and he was put into sex trafficking. So when he wanted to leave, the perpetrator said, see this video we made of all your pictures, the ones you sent us. We're going to send that to everyone in your school if you leave. And he didn't think they're going to do that, and they did. And unfortunately, you know how peers can be brutal to each other. And because everybody saw all these nude pictures of him, everybody in his school. And so that's why he wanted to commit suicide. What I tell parents and what I tell young adults is that when you send a nude picture of yourself, although it's of yourself, you've committed a crime. So you're disseminated pornographic material, right? And so that's a crime. So you need to be very careful, because sexting, and we call it sexting, leads to sextortion, right? So there's sexting and leads to sextortion, because a lot of cases where they send them nude pictures of themselves, and then those pictures come back to haunt them by that same person. It could be a relationship that went south, or it could be just like the story that I mentioned to you, someone who took the time to get close to them, because they look for the youth that are at a higher risk, the youth that have disconnected relationship from the parents, the youth that has lost self-esteem, the foster kids, the throwaway kids, the runaway kids. And perpetrators don't discriminate depending on your economic situation. There have been youth, according to a speaker in one of the videos that I showed in my presentation, it was an FBI spokeswoman. She said, we have youth who are involved in this where the parents are professionals, doctors, lawyers, wealthy. And so the perpetrators do not discriminate because they can reuse that person. Drugs, like dealing in drugs, you take those drugs, they're gone, right? You use them once, they're gone. But this way, you keep using and reusing that person day in, day out, and you keep generating income. That person keeps generating income for you. So it's until that person is no longer of use. And a lot of the questions that we get is, they're not bound, they're not tied, so how come they don't leave? Well, there's a reason why they don't leave. Is because they have those incriminating pictures or videos, and they tell them, if you leave, we're going to show this to your parents. So it's important that the parents have this honest discussion and relationship with their kids, and talk about the dangers online, talk about the grooming, talk about the exploitation. And so when you explain to them the dangers and tell them that your door is open, and any time when they feel something is not right, their gut feeling something is not right, then they feel comfortable coming to tell you, and that you need to let them know there will be no shaming, nor no blaming, and that once they come to you, you'll take care of them. But go through those red flags with them and say, please be careful, be vigilant on social media, in chat rooms, on game rooms. And so please be vigilant. And so when you have that discussion with your kids, then they're more apt to come to you and say, you know what, somebody's approaching me and they want this, or I made a mistake and sent this. And law enforcement tell you, do not delete any. If you sent those, do not delete anything, because those will be used against that person that you sent them to. And so that's unfortunately the situation. And so we need to be more aware. And I'm very involved in our human trafficking task force here in Orange County. And I remember one time I asked Sergeant Juan Rivales from Anaheim PD, who was assigned to the task force, about locations. And he said, Rima, 10% is on the street. The rest of it back then used to be in hospitality industry. But now, if you look at the statistics from the National Human Trafficking Hotline, they'll tell you that number one, as far as sex trafficking, is home brothels. So you need to be, yeah. So we had an attorney who used to represent foster kids, and she used to be deputy AG, and she indicated that whenever she leaves, whenever she goes to pick her mail, she doesn't do it while she's in the car. Okay, let me grab it while I'm in the car. No, she goes out, she walks, she goes there, she looks left, she looks right, and she looks at her surroundings, make sure there's nothing off in her surroundings. And she does that because you need to be aware. Now that we know that the top number one location is home brothels. And so, yeah. And what the concerning things is that the top two recruiters that recruit people into human trafficking are either an intimate partner or a family member.
Yeah, I don't get that, but yeah, I get it.
And these statistics are, again, from the National Human Trafficking Hotline. And since we're talking about that, the number for the human trafficking hotline, the National Human Trafficking Hotline, is 888 3737 888. So if anyone is in danger or you know someone is in danger, call that number, 888 3737 888. Or you can call 911 if you see something happening. And if you see something happening, don't get involved. It might be dangerous. Just call 911 or call the National Human Trafficking Hotline.
Yeah, and you've covered a lot of information. And one thing that I guess is kind of new is the emergence issue of AI companions. And I had another person on that briefly talked about it and how they influence vulnerable youth.
Yes.
Do you want to cover that at all?
Yes, there's a newer trend, and I'm sure a lot of people heard about that because everybody's now on social media and everybody, is that young adults and teens have been, for a lack of a better word, having a relationship with AI companions.
Yeah.
So it's no longer an interpersonal relationship, it's a relationship with an AI companion. And from the things that we've read is that some of these AI companions have encouraged those youth that the solution is basically if they wanted to commit suicide, yes, that the solution is committing suicide. And some of these young adults and youth have committed suicide because the AI companion agreed with them or suggested it or so on and so forth. And so again, we need to be vigilant as parents. We need to discuss all these things. There's a lot of red flags that we go over when you ask us to come in and speak or do a presentation. But if you see any kind of changes in your children or young adults in your family, if they can't look at you in the face, if they're becoming secretive, if as soon as you try to come into their room, the computer goes closed, the computer's closed, or if there's an adult who's controlling a relationship, or if they're not participating in these activities that they used to love to participate in, if you're seeing new and expensive items that they're carrying, and so drug use, runaway ideation. So if you see all that, these are the red flags that we go over and say, please be aware, have a chat. And again, there's no shaming or blaming, just an honest conversation. The other thing that I love what the San Diego District Attorney has, she has on her website about online grooming and online danger. And she goes over statistics like there's 71% of youth get unsolicited pornographic material on their phone. And the research indicated, the studies indicated that 61% of them responded to those. I mean, they responded to someone they don't know who sent them pornographic material. And that's usually a lead, right, into getting groomed and exploited and all that. And then how many times, I mean, I'm starting to see, getting all these messages on my phone. Do you want to work $1,200 an hour or this or that? And you look at the phone number and it's obvious it's another country. Or if it's not another country, don't respond to these things. Usually it's another exploitation technique.
No, that's awful. Why don't we talk about how people can help your organization? So if you want to bring up that slide, Rebel, about how people can offer that, she's going to tell you about it.
Yeah, so we have an event coming up. It's our 5th annual walk run, and it's at the city of Irvine at the Jeffrey Open Space Trail, and that's Saturday, September 27 at 9 a.m. And the event is co-hosted by the mayor, Larry Agron, the vice mayor, James Mai, and council member Mike Carroll. They're co-hosting this event with us. And so we'd love to see you there. You can go to globalhope365.org and look at the events section, and you'll see globalhope365.org/walk for hope. But you can go and participate in that. The other thing is you can participate in our digital letter writing campaign to end child marriage in California and in other states. And again, it's globalhope365.org/get involved. And you'll see that there's a button for California residents and one for out of state. And there's other ways you can help us pass a resolution, because while we're waiting for the state legislature to end it on a state level, we authored a resolution and we go to cities here. And we've been able to pass it in 14 out of the 34 cities in Orange County, in 2 cities in LA County, in the county of Santa Clara, and we have 37 outstanding where we say no child marriage under 18, no exceptions. And so you can help us pass those outstanding resolutions, or if you can have connections with your city council members, you can help us pass it in your city. We also provide training to the healthcare industry. So we train hospitals and we train satellite clinics about how to identify victims of human trafficking sooner. On my board, we have Professor Melissa Withers from the Keck School of Medicine at USC, and she conducts those training. Why? Because research indicated that victims of human trafficking will seek medical treatment 8 to 9 times before they exit the life. So what we would like to see is that if they can recognize those signs on the first visit, and they can get them out of that situation on the first or second visit, because that trauma will never leave them for the rest of their life. So again, you'll see that at www.globalhope365.org/get involved. There's so many different ways. You know, you have the walk run, you have the digital letter writing campaign, you have pass a resolution, get us contacts with a hospital, emergency room, or a satellite clinic for us to train. And we also try to establish chapters in high school so they could do peer-to-peer training. So if you're an educator and you'd like to invite us to your high school and encourage them to start a chapter for Global Hope, we could do that too.
Okay. I just want to make sure you got all that out. Because she really needs your support. It is a nonprofit, and the more hands, the better. So I'm glad you got that out. And you can always watch this show again for the slide that comes up, and the scroll is at the bottom. So this is really important information. It's not exactly uplifting. It's kind of scary. So I appreciate you sharing all this information with Rima. Please, I possibly could have you as a guest again. So I hope you would like to do that.
I'd love to do that because there's so much to cover and we don't have enough time. Thank you for having me again.
And so please stick around for closing remarks, okay?
I will.
Okay. Now, remember, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. I start with your gut and mindset. And I also work with areas, brain, obviously, and heart, blood sugar, obviously, bone and joint, and immunity, as well as hormones. And I also help people with anxiety and, through to athletes, because I guide you to clean, toxic-free foods and high-quality essential nutrient products that will reduce symptoms. And it will make you feel so much better, possibly lose some weight, and it will uplift your mood. And with my mindset coaching, I help you release your stress and emotional attachments from the past, and I'm guiding you through creating a better core belief, and your mindset being enhanced. With my health optimization and weight release, your body be more efficient. So that's the mind-body solution that will make your heart and soul sing. So ask me about my program. Set up a complimentary consultation at Debi Changes Lives, DebiChangesLives, as in Victory, ES.com/Linktree, LINKTREE. And there you'll get to know me. I can get to know you. You can go to the next slide. And I will guide you to your optimal health. And it begins with 1 or 2 assessments. Now, the health evaluation is actually complimentary, where you rate your symptoms the last 30 days in 4 categories of health. Some questions overlap, answer them all, and you'll get a baseline score. And I will review it with you. When you move forward with my services, I create that custom national holistic strategy for you. And we'll monitor this on a monthly basis. I also have 2 different Zyto body scans, and I prefer to do the Zero link because I can send it remotely and internationally. And what the Zero link is a transdermal optical imaging app I send to your phone. You scan your face. It's only going through your blood flow. Nothing else is recognized. And it's looking for components of energetic, functional, emotional, and different body systems and lifestyles. The emotional component is such a hidden gem. And it creates a wellness report, not a diagnosis, of biomarkers out of range and products and services that bring it back into range. And it's quite intensive, and I do review it with you, and the cost of it is $75. Now, you'll find that this scan is pretty darn accurate, and you can look up the accuracy of it with these 2 terms, the transdermal optical imaging, or TOI, and you can look it up at pubmed.gov. That's pubmed.gov, and it will tell you how accurate it is. People are really amazed what their body tells them as well, and you'll be too. So if you're curious, you can get the scan done or ask me questions, and I'll answer your questions on my consultation site. And also on the site are my programs. Take Your Body Back is a 12-week weight release mindset coaching program where you can be utilizing a new version of you for your success. All coaching is done on Zoom. The first one's always private to you because I am a certified HIPAA health practitioner, and the health assessment is private. And I'll go over that health assessment. I give you a choice between 2 meal plans and directions on one. And I also give you, ways of creating a new version of you and that avatar broader that will drive you with motion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformational goals throughout your journey. The rest of the coaching is the same. We'll be celebrating your wins. You'll be utilizing those boards, and I'll show you how to do that. We'll go over the gaps with health and mindset tips. You will become a new you. You can ask me questions on the consultation site. You can also look at a previous episode, Holistic Self-Love, for more information, but truly those prices are no longer valid. And also YFast, the intermittent fasting program that gets your cells and body humming. You want to go back to the other side where you will be utilizing clean, toxic-free nutrition, essential nutrients. There's a program for exercise and recipes, as well as there's other ways you can do this. Intermittent fasting helps reduce inflammation, gives you mental clarity, and also repair cells. Now, you can ask me questions, and you can also, if you need some coaching, there's a 2 or 4 week program that you can utilize. And if you want to pay for more coaching, you can do that as well. With my mindset enhancement and health optimization, you can start with these smaller programs, but usually that's a longer journey. And I can also create a custom program for you as well. Now, to the next slide, I do offer free coaching. It's a 30-minute coaching session with Debi's coaching chats. It's in an intimate group setting. It's not recorded. And there's certain topics like optimizing your health, ways to releasing stress and emotions, how hormones affect your body, releasing weight efficiently, creating a winning mindset for health, weight, release, and life, as well as creating a new version of you, an avatar board that drives you with emotion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformation goals throughout your journey. These meetings are on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and you need to be registered for it. And that's at Debi Changes Lives. Again, DebiChangesLives, as in Victory, ES.com/chats. And finally, learn more about alternative health services, programs, products, offers, upcoming shows, articles, blogs, events, and promos by subscribing to my newsletter. And that's at DebiChangesLives.com/radio TV show, all in lowercase. And as a gift, I give you a 30-day health and mindset daily action journal where you can actually record your foods, water, supplements, exercise you do on a daily basis, even track your measurements. Then you want to celebrate your wins on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and find your gaps. If you need help bridging that gap, contact me for coaching. This journal is a great health and mindset awareness tool. I'm certain that you enjoyed the show, even though it was a tough one. I got a lot of information from it, and will enjoy the rest of the show as well, because it was very educational. Now, contact me for my services, programs, products, and offers. Contact Rima for her organization and how you can help them. I think we have time for Rima to come back if she has some closing remarks.
Sure, thank you. And I want to thank you again for having me. And considering the heavy topic and the information and the human situations that we deal with, your coaching and the services you provide are really needed for people in our industry, in our line of work. So again, thank you for having me. And I want to emphasize again our walk run that's coming up Saturday, September 27, co-hosted by in the city of Irvine, co-hosted by the mayor, the vice mayor, and council member Mike Carroll. And you can go to our website, globalhope365.org/walk-for-hope. Or you can go to our website and click on Get Involved. And as I mentioned, you can help us pass a resolution in your city that indicates no child marriage under 18, no exception. Because all legislative attempts to end child marriage in California have failed because of two organizations. And so we need to change that. I would love for you to call your assembly member and your senator and the governor's office and say, I'm sure you do not support pedophilia. You need to end child marriage under 18, no exceptions. We had 23,588 survivors in California between 2000 and 2018. One is one too many. And so we thank all the cities that passed our resolutions, starting with the city of Irvine, Anaheim, Newport Beach. Thank you, Assemblywoman Diane Dixon. She was a council member then. And Farah Khan, who helped us pass it in Irvine, and Mayor Shea. So thank you. Thank you, everyone who passed it in those cities, in those 14 cities in Orange County, the 2 in LA. And thank you to Supervisor Ottilie from the county of Santa Clara, who passed it on for us in the county of Santa Clara. So please go to Get Involved. We'd love for you to sponsor our activities. We'd love for you to sponsor a chapter in a high school or at a presentation at a college, university, and other institutions. And again, we provide presentations to guardians, parents, and teachers, and also to another one, a different one to young adults. And please, please have that discussion with your kids. Please have that discussion with your kids. Be aware of what websites they're looking at, either on their smartphone or their computer. And because the exploitation and the grooming happens while they're in your home. And so you need to be more vigilant. And again, Debi, thank you so much for having me. And if you need to reach me, it's Rima, which is RIMA, at globalhope365.org. Thank you so much for Debi for having me, and I'm looking forward to our next podcast.
And if somebody is local to Rima, that walk is a great way to get educated and find out what's going on and also support her cause. So hopefully she'll see you there at that walk in Irvine, right?
Yes, absolutely. And we have a parent who's going to speak at that walk, how her daughter was almost a victim of human trafficking and how she was groomed, in addition to a survivor who was a sex trafficking survivor. So thank you for encouraging your listeners to join our walk, 3K walk, 5K run.
Yeah, well, that just gives me the creepy chills. Anyway, I'll let you walk, but what's going on with this whole show. So thank you again for sharing your information. It was important for people to understand and hear about it and be aware and know what to do.
Yes.
Now, reach out to Rima and continue to enjoy my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives, on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, where your holistic journey begins.